Welcome back to another video here on P2P Empire. Today we'll be answering all of the questions that you guys submitted to us on our YouTube channel. So I have a feeling that this is going to take a while, so grab yourself a cup of coffee and let's get right into it. Alright, so the first question is from Nicholas, one of our members on buymeacoffee.com. He's asking, how long have you been investing in crowdlending and crowdfunding platforms? So my first platform that I've ever joined was in 2017 and it was Mintos. So I've been investing for about 5 years now. All right, moving on to the next question. What percentage of your financial wealth do you allocate to this asset class? I'm very cautious when it comes to giving any kind of information about allocation, even particular allocation in P2P from my own portfolio, due to the reason that there is a lot of people watching with very different risk appetites and different knowledge in the P2P lending space. So I prefer to rather give you the suggestion that if you're just starting out, start with a very small exposure before you gain experience and trust with particular platforms. And as you gain experience with P2P lending and you get to know some of the people running those companies and you're very well educated about the risk, you might increase the exposure. So you can start with 5% and go all the way up to whatever feels comfortable for you. The next question is, what are the worst capital losses within the P2P lending sector? So I suggest you watch this video where I cover the losses that I've had with P2P loans. This video was recorded 1 year ago and the losses were about 1,500 euro. Since then, I've had about 1,000 euro loss with Youhodler's multi-hodler. And that's pretty much it. So in my entire investment journey in the P2P lending space, I've had losses of about 2,500 euro. So moving on to the next question, what do you think of the fall in the value of euro against other global strong currencies? And do you think this is a risk in crowd lending? And if so, do you manage this risk? So of course, this currency risk does impact your P2P lending portfolio in one way or another if you are lending money to lenders who originate loans in a different currency. So it is certainly something to pay attention to. I don't particularly manage this risk myself. I am not directly exposed to loans in other currencies, so I only invest in euros. And then the platform or the lender is taking on the currency risk. In most cases, they can cover it with the profitability of their loan book. However, of course, usually they don't have like a hedge against currency fluctuation. So this is something that you should be aware of as well. There are a few investors that manage this risk with forward contracts, which is basically you can lock up a certain currency exchange rate for a particular amount of months or years, which is a bit of an advanced topic. So you should probably educate yourself first before going this way. Otherwise, I think in most cases, the lenders are able to cover the risk with their profits. If you had to invest your entire current portfolio in a single platform, which one would you retain and why? So if I would invest in a single platform, it would be Peerberry. And the reason is that I've been investing with Peerberry for several years and I know the management of the company, and I'm quite certain that if certain risk materialize, they will do their best to recover the loans. So how do you see the evolution of the market in the coming years? So I don't want to make any predictions because the P2P lending market, even the crypto lending market, is changing rapidly. I hope that there is going to be some kind of meaningful regulation to protect the investors. However, I think that the investors should be ready to witness some of the platforms winding down and some smaller platforms coming to the market trying to get their footprint into the P2P lending space. What do you think are the next top platforms? That's another good question. I think that some of the top rated platforms are on P2P Empire are certainly good choices for investors. Upcoming platforms that are interesting, I believe, are Get, Lande, and Income Marketplace. They are all very different. However, I think that they are run by experienced people in the lending space. So I think that those platforms are quite interesting to look out for. Okay, the next question. Do you think inflation/recession will create pressure in the business model of crowdfunding platforms? Certainly, this is something you should pay attention to, especially in the crowdfunding, crowdlending space. So basically, any business model that's similar to what Estate Guru is following. So basically, you're funding business loans. Lenders such as Estate Guru have evaluated the projects that are about to mature right now 12 or 18 months ago, which we were in a very different situation, very different macroeconomical situation back then. And I don't think that they have calculated with the current recession and inflation that we have in Europe, which has a direct impact on the project owners or borrowers who are borrowing money from investors. Back then, Estate Guru or any other crowdfunding platform have looked at the exit strategy of certain borrower, which was definitely different than what it is right now. So I think that we should expect a higher default rates, a higher amount of delayed loans on crowdfunding platforms, because the borrower's exit strategy might not be as profitable today as they have evaluated 12 or 18 months ago. The good thing is, however, that any project that is being listed right now on those crowdfunding platforms is already counting in the current macroeconomic environment. So ultimately, the exit strategy is scored in a different way. I think that Estate Guru and other platforms have adjusted for the current macroeconomic situation in Europe. So for the loans that have been listed 12 or 18 months ago, you should expect a higher default rate or a higher delays. For the current loans that are being listed, I think they're quite attractive for investors. However, you should definitely look at the entire outstanding portfolio and check which countries have a higher default rate than others, and perhaps minimize investing in areas with higher defaults or delayed loans. Will you be making a guide to secondary markets anytime soon, or do you just ignore them and stick to primary markets yourself? So I'm not trading on the secondary market, so I don't think I will be doing any guide on that. Ultimately, unless you have higher investment amounts, I don't think it makes that much sense, even like spending time on trying to get the best deals. But I will leave it up to you. Next question. What are the news about your team? Good question. So we are constantly growing thanks to our audience who is watching our videos and using our independent comparison site. Currently we have 2 full-time developers, we have a full-time video editor and myself, and we'll be definitely hiring 1 more person by the end of this year. So stay tuned for some kind of announcements if you would like to join the team. Also, we might be hiring a few more people next year, depending on how fast we are able to grow. Do you plan any new video formats, such as user interviews? I think we'll stick to what's working right now. So basically more condensed type of interviews with CEOs or platform visits. So that's my current strategy. In terms of user interviews, I don't think that it's going to happen anytime soon. Do you want to work with local platforms like French and Spanish P2P lending platforms? So we do review actually a few smaller local platforms, such as Even5 from Italy and GoParative from Portugal. If we expand into different markets, then we might also add those smaller platforms into the comparison. Or for the global English version of our website, it's not as relevant at this point of time. What is your strategy with Buy Me a Coffee? So Buy Me a Coffee is basically a place for investors who are more serious about their investments and invest higher amounts and would like to get additional insights into some of the platforms. So they will get access to some exclusive clips and full interviews with the CEOs. Also, you will get early access to my portfolio update, which might help you to make your own decisions. Do you want to collaborate with other YouTubers? I am not closed towards cooperation with other YouTubers. However, any type of collaboration would have to bring additional value to our audience. So if there is additional value, yes. If there is none, and if the goal is just to cross-promote channels, that's not something I'm interested in. How long does it take to do a video? What are the steps? Could you do a making of? So a video takes roughly on average a week to produce. The steps are brainstorming ideas, pre-production, production, post-production, and editing and publication. So yeah, there is a lot of going on when it comes to video production these days. And we try to increase the quality of those videos all the time. So this is some kind of the process that we follow. Do you plan to open a second channel? No, I don't have any plans like this in the moment. Another question. Thanks for your interesting videos. How do you plan to structure a portfolio in the future? Say you were 45, 55 and 65 years old. I cannot give you an answer, but I would like to have more real estate in the portfolio, and I will have assets that I'm fully aware of the risks. So I don't think I will be speculating on anything. Thank you so much for your great videos. I'd like to know your personal opinion. Which P2P companies are the best and how would you rank them? So the video about my favorite platforms has been published last week, so you can check it out. And I would not rank any platforms because every platform is very different from the other, and I think investors should make their own decisions based on their own criteria. Do you also invest in other asset classes like real estate, stock exchange, crypto, private equity? I am a co-owner of a real estate I don't have any stock positions right now. I have a very small exposure in crypto and private equity. I don't do private equity. My biggest investment is by far our project P2P Empire. So Jan Kotek is asking, are regulations a friend or a foe to the P2P market? It's a good question. Regulation. I think if there is a meaningful regulation, absolutely. It's something that helps to improve the transparency, it helps to increase the safety of your investments. But ultimately, what we have seen in Latvia, I don't think that it brings too much value to the investors. We'll see how the European crowdfunding license will turn out. Perhaps this is going to bring more benefits. Are banks a friend or foe to the P2P market? I think banks do not directly compete with P2P lending platforms. So I think there is a place for both banks and P2P lending platforms. Do you have a regular job aside from YouTube? So YouTube is just a part of my tasks. I'm very much involved with the development and the updates on our website. So YouTube is just like a side task and I don't have time for any other jobs. So yeah, that's about that. Are you planning to stay in Youhodler? That's a good question. Youhodler is certainly a good platform. I'm quite convinced about your risk management and I'm fully aware of your business model, so I don't have any issues with that. I'm not married to any platform, to be honest with you, so if I exit Youhodler, it's not gonna be because I think that there are some additional or hidden risks, but the platform has decreased the interest rate quite a lot recently, which means they don't have such a high demand for investors' deposits. And as I'm someone who is keen to earn the highest interest rates with the minimal risks or risks that I can somehow evaluate, it's possible that I will move the funds to a different platform with a higher interest rate for the time being until Youhodler is increasing the interest rates on stablecoins, for example, again. Why don't you answer to questions in your video comments? I think most of the questions are being answered. If they are not answered, it's because I don't have time to answer every single question. However, if you insist of having answers to your questions, you can send us an email or join our membership at buymeacoffee, where your answers will be answered for sure. What's your opinion on GetIncome having less than 40% of their loans at current state? So I think that the state of current loans is fluctuating constantly on income. The reason for a higher amount of delayed loans is the structure how the loans are being funded. So they have two structures, one is a direct and one is a pledge structure. With the pledge structure, as soon as one loan is delayed, the entire loan portfolio is moving into the delayed status. So it has really something to do with how those loans are being funded. I suggest you read the article that I will link to you in the description below to get more familiar about the structures. Other than that, the buyback guarantee has worked very well on income so far, and we are not aware of any situations where the buyback would not be honored. So I would not be too worried about it at this point of time, but of course you should be monitoring your portfolio and making decisions based on what works for you. Okay, so I think we have covered the most frequently asked questions. If you have any other questions, please ask them in the comment section below, and we might do another video like this in a few months. That's it from me today. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.